You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Ah, motherhood. 1 minute, you're mom of the year.
I love you, Mommy.
Then the next, not so much. From bath time to bullying, from potty training to puberty, parenting is full of challenges. But one thing is for certain, you are not alone. Welcome to Modern Mom Probs. I'm your host, author, mother, parenting expert, Tara Clark. Join me while we tackle today's modern mom problems. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Modern Mom Probs. I'm your girl, Tara Clark, and here on Modern Mom Probs, we're trying to solve the world's modern mom problems. And if we can't do that, at least we're having fun talking about them. And today's modern mom problem is body image and children. I am joined today by Dr. Whitney Casares. She is a board-certified pediatrician, podcaster, and CEO and founder of Modern Mommy Doc. She was last on the show when she had another book coming out called Doing It All. And now today we are going to be talking about her newest book called My One of a Kind Body, which is coming out in October. Dr. Whitney speaks all over the country about a variety of different topics, whether it's working mom issues, overfunctioning, and now talking about body image and children. So I'm super excited to have her back, and we're going to chat about all kinds of things from diet culture to how best to talk to our children about what to eat and even more. Whitney, welcome back to the show. How are you?
I am good. I am on to this new topic. You've seen me before to talk about moms and wellness and kind of reducing the mental load. We've talked ad nauseum about that, and that is still so close to my heart. I live it every day. You live it every day. But the thing that I am here to talk about today is body image for kids. And that's because, gosh, my kids are now almost 9 and almost 12, and I am living in it with them. And so it is just so top of mind for me about how we are speaking to our kids about their bodies and how they are learning about their bodies themselves. So I wanted to come on and chat about that with you.
And I'm so glad that you're here. It is blowing my mind that you just said that they're 9 and 12, because in my mind, your children are perpetually young. Yes. I don't know why. I always just think they're still little, but that just goes to show how long we've known each other, because my son is 12 now and we're firmly in this middle school era, puberty era. And to think that your girls are that big too, it's how did that happen?
Well, it's probably because all the images on my website are still of them as little, you know? So
yes,
that's
I think
why.
that's what it is. And that means we really have known each other that long, which is wild. Mm-hmm. And so I want to talk about all of this. You wrote this book. It's called My One of a Kind Body. And it's for children. It's not necessarily for the adults. However, there is a component, sort of like a preface in the beginning for the parents to sort of explain what you're doing and what the overall gist of it is. Why did you think that this book needed to come out now? Is it because obviously you're a pediatrician and this, you have this talk, I'm sure, a lot with a lot of people, but what inspired it?
Okay. So there are a couple things. I feel like more than ever, we are living in such a binary world. Either this is right or this is right. And I think that's because of social media. Right? You and I both live on the algorithm and we mess with the algorithm. But the algorithm makes it so that people get a lot of information that's like 5 things that you need to do. Otherwise, your kid is going to end up like, in jail, and they're going to end up in juvie at the age of 12. Or like, you better be a gentle parent, or you better make sure you display the heart. Like, everything is so binary. And that's true when it comes to body image as well, especially around processed foods. We have all this stuff like either chemicals are bad, or we should let our kids eat anything that they want. And there's a lot of stuff around like either body positivity, you need to be 100% body positive all the time, or we need to tell our kids like it is, right? And so just felt like there was room for this wide, kind of messy middle for our kids and for ourselves. And I think our kids are smart enough to handle that. I think that we're dumbing things down for our kids by making everything super black or white for them. One example. So my daughter, I was telling her, of course, that I'm writing this book. She knows, she sees me writing it all the time. And we do a lot of work talking about images that we see or messages that we get when we're watching shows. So we've been watching a lot of dumb blonde movies, her words, not mine, right? Recently. And so we've been watching these movies like Clueless or whatever. And there's all these weird diet things that they say in these movies. And so I'm pointing them out and I'm saying all these things or whatever. And I was like, see, because you can be healthy, like no matter what, no matter how you look, you can be healthy. It's all about like the way you take care of yourself. And my daughter goes, no, I'm going to pull up some images of people that are not healthy for you. First person she pulls up is an anorexic twig model. And she goes, this person's not healthy. Look how their bones, they're sticking out. Look how you can see that's unhealthy. Next person she pulls up is someone who's like 1,000 pounds, someone who's like on like the People magazine, whatever. And she's like, that person, I don't know how they can walk. I don't think they can walk. She's like, that's not healthy, Mom. And so it just made me think a lot about how we try to make everything really simple for our kids and how our kids are capable of actually learning this message of loving your body is, of course, accepting the body you're in, the things you can't change about your body, the way you're wired. If you are maybe curvier than the next kid because of genetics, amazing. But also they're capable of learning really practical techniques for taking care of their body so that it functions for them for a lifetime. So that was the promise of the book, was really just creating that mutual coexistence of those two ideas.
Yeah, that's a really important point to mention, is that it's function more than just the aesthetics of everything, right? Like,
yes,
it's so important. I am constantly having this conversation with my son because he is on the thinner side, but he's just pure muscle, and so he's like, oh, I want to look like this, or I want to look like that. And I'm like, this is your body type, and you have a healthy body, and your arms work, and they could pull you up, and your legs can run, and all of these things. And I think it's important to remind our children that even though they're looking at a different aesthetic, that they need to be grateful for what we do have too.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And actually, that's a huge point in the book, because I always think about body image for girls. I am biased in that way, maybe because I had my own diet culture stuff and, disordered eating stuff growing up. And so I really felt like it was targeted more toward me than my brother in my family. But we are seeing more and more that boys are developing eating disorders, and that there's especially this push for boys on exactly what you said, on being like more muscular, on the protein shakes, on the creatine, like looking like they're celebrity heroes. And so in the book, we actually put a number of girls as characters. There's a group of 5 kids that meet at camp called Camp Corazon. So there's a little story that goes through, and it's like this happy little nest of a place where everything is great about body image, and all the counselors are amazing and they're encouraging them. And then they go out to their individual homes across the United States. And one goes to, New Orleans, and one goes to Michigan, and one goes to New York, and one goes, to the Midwest. And so they go out into the real world. And the analogy was supposed to be, in our homes, we can create this happy nest for our kids, but then our kids will go out and they will experience things that we cannot control. So how do they deal with that in the real world? And so there's one kid who's a little Latino boy who wants to be muscular. He wants to be bigger. His name is Juan. And he's like, please let me, I'm going to build all this muscle. I'm going to do all these weights. I'm going to go out for the football team. And the story for him is really about like leaning into his own strengths. Maybe he could be on the football team and he could do a little bit of weightlifting, but gosh, if he overdoes it, he's going to end up injuring himself and going to get a concussion, right? Like maybe the better sport for him is going to be soccer, or it's going to be that he's on the cross country team, or whatever it is, it's actually going to fit who he is. So I think you're absolutely right. For boys too, this is such a powerful book. And that's why the book is in blue and doesn't have like flowers on it. And I wanted to have the book be called Body Love. And my editors and the people from the American Academy of Pediatrics were like, no, sorry, because we want boys to be able to see themselves in this book, which now I totally appreciate. I think was the right move.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense because obviously I grew up as a girl, I'm still a girl. And so I know what the 80s and 90s and early 2000s diet culture was. And so it's still unfortunately ingrained in my mind. But now as a mother to a son, I see what it's like for the boys to, and even with my own husband, honestly, like I see that they're actually just as ingrained in it as we were as females. Yeah. And I never thought that they were. And I see, this sounds bad, but I'm just going to say it. I see a lot of fat shaming amongst my son's friends, which is heartbreaking. Because again, you think, oh, boys don't care. No, boys care. This is an everybody issue. This is not just a girl mom issue or a boy mom issue. It's an every parent issue. And so that's what I love about your book. And you do have 5 amazing characters in there. But now I want to go back to that concept of the diet culture that we grew up with. And I know that it was almost even worse for maybe our moms. Like my mom talks about the 70s and what they were doing. And like she tells me, and maybe she's a different sort of scenario, but she tells me that she used to walk around the track, you know, like a running track. She used to walk around a track, smoking a cigarette and not eating. And like that was the diet in the 70s, or just drinking coffee, like drinking coffee and working out and smoking cigarettes to stay thin. And I'm like, that is wild. You wouldn't even think about that. And that goes back to what you were saying way in the beginning about people who are thin but unhealthy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, so I did this deep dive into diet culture in preparation for this book, because like you said, there's a preface in the beginning for the parents and it's mostly for kids, the book, but I wanted to make sure that I really understood exactly where we were coming from. Because I know my own story from the 80s and 90s, but I don't know my mom's story. And it's as early as the 1950s that you start seeing stuff around like, it's all up to you. You can control yourself. A lot about control, especially from Weight Watchers. They were some of the worst offenders. Now I got to give them credit. They have turned it around. They're all about holistic health now. I have some friends that work for Weight Watchers. Like they're doing better, but they were bad. And you're right. It was this like whiplash situation back in the 60s and the 70s, especially where you would smoke, but then you would also eat a bunch of carbs. And then later you would have to go do your Jane Fonda workout. Like none of it made sense because none of it was based off actual nutritional science.
No, my mom still talks about the grapefruit diet where I'm like, Mom, does that make sense to you? Think through what that sounds like.
Yeah, no, my parents did that. My parents did that multiple times a year. They did the grapefruit diet. Did you have Noah's bagels? You're from New York. I don't know if they have Noah's bagels there. But
not Noah's, but we have bagels in general, like lots of bagel shops. Yeah.
So my family, this would be my Sunday tradition in my family. We would go to church. Then we would go to Noah's Bagels. We would pick up 2 dozen bagels. 1 dozen was to be eaten on that Sunday, divided amongst the 4 of us. And then the rest would be for school lunches. And then we would head up like Taco Bell, Macy's, Mervyn's, and then go home after I'd consumed like 6 bagels. And then there would be exercise equipment waiting for me in the garage. No. Not just for me to do, for my whole family. Everyone. For everybody. Like, what is that?
That's what you had me up until the exercise equipment in the garage. I was like, that sounds like a great Sunday.
No, then you go burn it off. Then you go burn it off.
Yeah.
And,
No, that makes sense.
And you talk about, and people talk about in your family, like, oh man, like, oh gosh, I got to lose these 5 lbs, or like, don't look at me in the shower. I'm going to wrap this.
Yeah, that was in the book. That was a story that you had in the book, is that the mom was in the shower and she asked her daughter, can you grab me a towel? Cause I don't want you to see my fat body. My heart like sunk when I read that. I have chills now just thinking about that, how sad it is for children to hear that. I have a really close friend. She's also a content creator, who was telling me a story once about her whole childhood. Her mother down talked her own body. And that left such an impression in my friend, and who is now, she's a 40-year-old woman with a child of her own. And it's generations of this talk. It absolutely breaks my heart.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we're confused as parents about how to address this with our kids. Have you read Virginia Smith's Fat Talk? Her book?
No, but I've heard of that, but no, that sounds...
So this book came out a couple of years ago, and I want to give Virginia Smith a lot of credit for, she's a journalist, so she's not a medical doctor, but she did amazing research into the biases that we all have and what you're talking about. This transmission of intergenerational shame that we all carry, and anti-fat bias. How we are at every turn, we see a person who's fat, or we think about being fat, and we are like, no, anything. And she talks a lot about the science behind, for kids, if you try to restrict a kid who is maybe already overweight, then that kid tends to eat more food. And like the studies show, they become more overweight later, which makes a ton of sense to me when you think about like behavioral science and behavior change. Okay. But then at the end of the book, and this is where, when you're not a scientist or you're not a doctor, things can go off the rails. Her solution was basically, so I just let my kids eat whatever they want. Like they can eat Oreos, they can eat like Cheez-Its, they can eat whatever they want. We have no limits. Everything is a free for all. So basically intuitive eating for kids, which intuitive eating, for those who don't know, is basically like you're listening to your body is telling you what you should eat. You're not limiting yourself on anything. It's a great tool and resource for people who have a history of eating disorders or restrictive eating, who need to be able to say like, I'm just going to not think about it constantly. But it's not a good tool for our children. Our children don't have executive functioning. Our children are driven by their dopamine urges. My kid with ADHD is a total sugar hound. She's like going to eat only Oreos, and she's going to have a tantrum and not sleep and have a stomachache. My kid with autism is going to eat only bananas, to bring it back to something that's not even considered like a quote unquote junk food. And she's going to be constipated for days. Like, it is our job as parents to help create some routine and structure around what our children are eating, and to not label foods as bad or good, but like in our minds to know there are some certain foods that do different things for our bodies and others that are just fun foods. And it's cool to have both, but we can't just let our kids decide. We would never do that with anything else. We would never do that with screens. We would never do that with, them spending money. We would never do that with anything. So how can we do that with food? And I think it's because we have this whiplash of like, things were so bad, we don't want it to be the way that our parents did it. And so we're going to go to the opposite extreme. And that harms kids just as much. So that's honestly the other reason I wrote this book, because I'm like, hey, good job, Virginia Smith, and clapping the cat thingy. Amazing, but also like, let's rein it in slightly. I think you went a little too far.
Yeah, no, that absolute way. Now I feel like I really do need to read this book, because I haven't, but I feel like I do need to, because there's so many factors that I'm thinking that would play into her arriving at that conclusion at the end of the book. 1, do you have kids that are neurotypical? 2, what is your family situation? 3, what is your socioeconomic? There are so many different things that play into those factors. Like I let my son eat what he likes. But again, like, no, you have to, he'll go off the rail. He'll eat nothing but candy and soda and have nothing but diarrhea for weeks if that were the case. Like, I'm being honest here. Like, I know what that looks like.
It's not just about weight gain. It's also about all the other things that happen to kids when they eat foods that are more chemically processed. And here's one thing I want to say to your listeners. I'm very strong about this. You know how there's this fight that's happening in America right now around like ultra processed foods and then like not processed foods. And then people go, well, you know, all foods have chemicals in them. So how can we label one food as processed or not? I'm like, I'm sorry. BS. I think about this like pornography. This is going to sound like a weird analogy, but like,
no, go ahead.
You know, they say for pornography, like there's no definition of it, but you know it when you see it. And that's how I feel about ultra processed foods. Like,
I agree.
I know that a pack of Haribos is ultra processed.
Yeah.
And my kid just ate 2 packs of them yesterday. Like, I am not anti her eating any of that stuff. But then once she ate 2 packs of Haribos, I was like, okay, kiddo, now we need some like vegetables and fruits.
Yes. It's about the balance. No, I agree 1,000%. And I don't know if it was a video or I read an article. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. But one time they said something along the lines of, yes, you know it when you see it. And if you can't easily replicate it at home, then it is ultra processed. And that really stuck with me because, I mean, not that I'm a real cook and I'm not making like, I don't know, Cheez-Its at home, but one could make Cheez-Its at home if you wanted to. Yes. One could make certain things at home. You could melt down sugar and make candy. So you know what is ultra processed. I saw something the other day. It was like a cinnamon toast crunch bar. I couldn't make a cinnamon toast crunch bar in 100,000 years. I wouldn't even know where to start with something like that. You know, and like, that's how I know that's ultra processed, right? And so I think that was a very good rule of thumb is like, if you don't even know where something would start to how you would even start to make something like that, then that's super ultra processed.
Yeah. And these foods don't play fair. They're literally designed to be addictive for our kids. So kind of like screens, it doesn't mean that I say, okay, you can never have a screen. But it means I know in the back of my head that at about the 30-minute limit or the 1 hour limit, I need to get my kid off of this because they're going to keep on going with it. And so it behooves me as a parent to say, okay, we got to go touch grass now.
Is back to school shopping stressing you out, dreading those long lists and running from store to store hunting for supplies? Yeah, I totally get it. This year, there's a better way. Introducing teacherlists.com, the website that makes back to school shopping a breeze. Teacher Lists takes teachers' back to school supply lists and transforms them into easy to use shoppable lists online. That means no more scrambling to find the right notebooks or mystery markers. Teacher Lists connects with major retailers like Target, Walmart, Amazon, Staples, and many more. So you could shop for everything you need at your favorite store with just a click. No more running from store to store. Teacher Lists ensures that you get the exact items that your child's teacher wants, so your child could be fully prepared and confident on the first day of school. This back-to-school season, ditch the stress and embrace the ease. Head over to teacherlists.com to order those supplies today. Happy shopping.
Yeah. I mean, I'm weird, but I lock my kids' screens in a safe because my kids are, they're so.
Yeah. No, that's not weird. No, I take my son's iPad at the end of the day and his stuff. No, I don't think that's weird. I think as parents, like it is on us. It is our responsibility to put guardrails in place to help them.
Yeah. Exactly. So it gets locked and I have the keys and they're on my key ring and then I keep them in my pocket. And then that way, like if they want to turn on the television and watch something boring, fine. But we're not going to play a video game. We're not playing Roblox anymore. We're done. You know?
Yep. Yeah. No, I firmly believe that. And I often propose, hey, let's watch TV together, because I would rather sit on the couch together and watch a television that is, I don't know, 10 or 15 feet, maybe not 15. I don't know. I'm bad at measuring, but 10 feet away from your eyes, where we could just like be together, have a conversation while we're still watching something. So I am often, I probably more than any other mom I know, I'm probably like the first one to be like, hey, let's watch TV. Other moms are like, no, shut the TV off. I'm like, hey, let's watch TV together, because I know that's a way that we could spend quality time watching a movie and talking and then, you know, sharing in that, versus everyone's like on their phones or on their iPads or playing Roblox or whatever it is. So no, I'm a big proponent of that. It doesn't sound crazy to me at all that you say that you take your device away. In fact, I'm so into this and intentional about this that I think it's strange that parents don't take devices at night and that they let their 12-year-olds keep a phone or an iPad in their room all night long. So that's just me. Everyone has their own thing.
You know what I just did? I mean, this is like just helpful tip for your listeners. I bought MP3 players for my kids. They're off Amazon.
You know what? I saw this on Threads the other day. People were saying something. Maybe it was Jonathan Haidt posted about it. Somebody, anyway, on Threads posted the other day about now that many of the schools are banning phones in the classrooms, kids are bringing MP3 players to school, because at the end of the day, they just want to listen to music, or they want to have access to be able to listen to music. And so it wasn't necessarily the phones, it was the music. And I thought that was like super, super interesting. So yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah. So, okay. It costs $50 per. You can connect it to the internet and it plays. You can decide what apps you want on it. I have Apple Music, audiobooks, and Spotify. So my kids can listen to podcasts. They can listen to a book, or they can listen to their music. Now, sometimes the music, I'm like, girl, this is not appropriate for you. Like, I'm the kind of girl you want to chew all of my bubble gum. I'm like, you know what that means, right? Like, but they don't, but they do, you know, like it's
they
not
like
good.
kind of,
yes. Yeah. So that's, you know, an issue, but I do that at night. So they have their iPads at different times, but at night I do that because then I know they're not going to be looking at the screen.
Yes.
And they're just listening to the thing. And I have found for sleep, because my autistic kid needs something. She needs input to fall asleep, but I was struggling because then she'd be up all night with the iPad. So the MP3 player, super cheap, super easy. You can connect it to Bluetooth. Like, so 10 out of 10.
Love that. You want to talk about takeaways today? Like that is a key takeaway. And like I said, I just saw someone talking about it the other day on Threads. And I laughed to myself because I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't even heard the phrase MP3 player in years. And I love it that it's making a comeback. I think that is fantastic. Love.
Just Amazon MP3 player. I mean, I don't know which one. I picked the one with like the most reviews, like I do for everything on Amazon.
Same. Yeah. That's me too. Well, I was buying something the other day. I forgot what it was. And it had like the most reviews. And I was laughing to myself for that very thing. I'm like, isn't that wild that as a society, we're just like always going like, okay, what's the highest ranked thing? Okay, done. Here's my $20. I think I literally was buying something so stupid, like a tablecloth for my dining table. And I was like, how well reviewed is this? Like, it doesn't matter. It's a tablecloth. I'm sure it's fine. It'll get wrecked in the wash. It's going to get ruined anyway. I don't know why I cared.
Exactly. But yeah, so I think about it the same way as I do screens. And I think that that's more helpful. I think that helps us be more logical or commonsensical about food and about exercise, because screens, we don't have the same type of moral attachment to it that we do to food. And so I think that makes it a lot easier. And the other thing I was going to say about the book, we put in activities like exercises. So you go in and you read the stories of these kids, but then there's a lot of room for reflection and for people to actually put in their thoughts. We actually thought about it for like school systems about helping to improve the information that we're giving to kids there. Because I don't know about you, but my daughter comes home sometimes and tells me some crazy things that they're talking about in health class in terms of nutrition and exercise that I'm like, girl, we're 1980s on this. What's happening?
No. Are you serious?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, they had to make a list of like, well, first of all, they're doing food labels, which I'm like 50-50 on it. I get it. I like it. That's like some food literacy. But the takeaway that she had from it was like, I need to eat less sugar foods. It says this has more carbohydrates. And I was like, ooh, I see this going back to the same thing of what we did before, like keto diet or low carb diet or Atkins, like all of that stuff is that we're kind of getting in that same gray area. And I want her, to your point, to be looking at, could I make this at home? Does this grow in the earth? Like, is this a food that I could find naturally in my environment? Or is this a food that somebody made fully in a chemical plant? So I think there's room in terms of school, but also we designed the exercises or activities for kids to just be able to have a point of stopping and reflecting and thinking about, how does this apply to my own life? Because my kids, I know they're not going to read a full-on book and then digest it and come out and be like, yay, now I'm body confident. Like, that's not happening.
I actually asked my son, I said, hey, do you want to read this? I said, it's a little bit about body image. It's a little bit about puberty. And he's like, I just want to be done with puberty now.
Yes. My suggestion for this book for your readers is, it doesn't matter. I asked my kids too, of course, do you want to read this book? No. I would just leave it out on the coffee table or leave it in your kiddo's room and let them peruse it. There is a few little things about puberty. So it has some pictures of, like, there is a picture of a penis. There is a picture of a vagina. So that might, in a good way, kind of make your kid be like, ooh, what's this? But they might not read it like in front of you. It might make it so that then in the privacy of their room, they look at, believe me, there's no pornographic images in here.
No, but it's like cartoony sort of, like those images are cartoony. I think that's actually a really good bathroom read. So, sometimes when you take a book and you sit down and go to the bathroom, I think it's the perfect book there. It's private and you're doing your business. And so I feel like it dovetails really nicely.
Yeah, exactly. But don't feel like you have to do a big explanation for your kids. And then the other secret thing about this book is at the end, for parents, we put like questions kids ask me and my responses to them. And yes, that's for the kids, but that was actually sneakily for the parents. So that when kids ask you questions about their body, am I fat? Is this food okay? My other friend looks bigger than I do, blah, blah, blah. Then you can go through and have some scripts. And I'm a huge believer in, as a parent, you paying attention to your own child, being sensitive and responsive to them. But I know in my head, sometimes if I have a script, then I can change it to fit my personality, but I just need the starting words.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because you need the basic message.
Yes, because I'm so entrenched in the grapefruit diet stuff from my parents that the natural thing that would come out of my mouth would be something weird. Like, I want to make a full confession to your listeners that the other day, my daughter, she needed to do something and I go, do it and we'll go get ice cream after. Like, I can't believe I did that. I wrote a book about this, but
it's so ingrained. It's just so second nature.
And she goes, what does food have to do with me doing my homework? I'm like, yeah, you're right. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Yes, you're right. Absolutely right. Like, so
she's right. That's what it is. Like they're so good. They, meaning this generation of children, they're so good because they are like one removed, like from where our parents and our grandparents were. When my mom many times is with us, she's the one I really have to like step in for the messaging here, but she'll say like, oh, eat one more thing and then we'll do this. Eat one more bite and then we'll do this. And I'm like, Mom, that's not what we're doing right now. If he's full, he could trust his body and then he's done. Don't worry if there's, half of the food left or whatever it is. And so we're sort of caught in this sandwich generation of messaging from what our parents had done for generations and what they heard from their parents to helping our kids. And so what would you say to us, the sandwich generation?
Yes. Okay. I think this is a perfect point. So maybe leave this in the bathroom at your mom's house, right? Like,
actually, I
should look at it too. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And also, okay, here's what I've decided, because I'm in the same situation. My mom, obviously, she knows I wrote this book. She knows I care about it. And also she still comes here and goes like, you're looking really nice. And, I know I shouldn't say thin, healthy, McKenna, to my daughter, and my daughter's like, like F off, like grandma, I know exactly what you're trying to tell me.
You're like, I know who I am. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So here's my thing on the older generation. I actually don't think we're going to change them. I don't think they're going to change. They are so entrenched. It's the fabric of them growing up. They were the diet generation. So when they're talking directly to your child in front of them, I think that's the time to step in. Like they say something to your child, you're there, your child's there, or your child reports back like, hey, grandma said this to me. That's when you go to your parent and say, listen, I am really trying to make it so my daughter doesn't have body image issues. Don't say anything. This is something you could say instead, right? Give them a script to say. If they are making comments to you about your children and your kids aren't there, or about your own body, honestly, I just go to my mom like, okay, like I just let it roll off my back.
Just let it roll. Yeah.
Because I just don't think she's going to change. It's really hard to change behavior, especially at the age that our parents are. And I want to save my energy, like Taylor Swift says. It's so expensive, my energy.
It's so expensive. Yes, not everyone can afford it.
My mom can't afford it in this area.
Yeah.
So I want to save it for the teachers. I want to save it for my kids' friends. I want to save it for my husband, who is so well-meaning, and we're on the same page philosophically about this, but sometimes says weird stuff too. Like I want to save it for myself. And so I just wouldn't try too hard to change your parents' philosophy, but I would stay cognizant and aware so that they don't pass on stuff to your kids. That's my take on this, is like, focus on your own stuff. And then with your parents, I even say to my kids, like, oh, grandma grew up in a different time. She doesn't understand it. It's like the weird uncle who makes a racist comment and you're like, okay, like, and your kids go, weird. That's not
everyone
the way
knows that it's off. Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone knows it's off. And so that's the way I approach it. I talk to my kids afterward a lot about what grandma said. And then they go like, oh, okay. She's just like from a different planet. I get it.
No, that really does make sense. Back in April, I hosted a wellness retreat, and one of the topics was body image. And I had Dr. Rachel. I don't know if you know Dr. Rachel Goldman from New York City, and her whole thing is, she's a psychologist, and her whole thing is about body image and eating disorders. And we had a wonderful fireside chat. And that was my mom's biggest takeaway, actually, my mom attended from the retreat, is that she loved having the conversation and having the permission to feel confident in her body and feel good about what she eats. And she came from a generation where people were not talking about this publicly. And she was so blown away that here we were, two women sitting up in front of all of this other women, a full room full of women, talking about body images and talking about body neutrality, body positivity, all of those things. And my mom was just absolutely blown away because it was never something that she had seen from her generation. So I'm so glad that we're having these conversations and that we keep these conversations going, and that we can, like you said, either stop them from happening or sort of nip them in the bud when we can. But it's important that we don't give up on it. That we keep trying, and so that our children never hear, oh, hand me a towel so that you don't see my fat body. It literally broke my heart when I saw that in your book.
I know. So, that happened to me. A lot of these stories are my stories, not all, but some of them. That one was my story. That one was my mom who said that, and I'm making my mom sound like she's a monster. She's not.
No. Our moms are amazing. Please, no. This is a generational thing. This is not them as individuals.
No, it's just that was seen as normal, and so I think my takeaway message for moms who are listening to this, in addition to get a resource like this, if it's not my book, any resource to help your kids so they can learn for themselves. But the other is doing the work for your own self on what are the messages I received? How do I want it to be different for my kiddo? And what shifts do I need to make in the way that I talk about food, in the way that I present food, in the way that I model my own exercise and eating? I've had to do a lot of work in the past 3 or 4 years on if I'm eating a salad and a smoothie in front of my kids, that's just as loud for my kids as me talking about food at this point. My kids are so aware of what's happening. Like, I got to eat the burger with them. I gotta eat the Haribos with them. Like they need me to do that and to kind of fake it till I make it a little bit, in this regard. And also I need to show them that I'm doing yoga and Pilates and that I'm doing, like, of course, like I want them to see me eating nutritious foods, but I need to be more aware of how I'm modeling, because I'm pretty good at the way that I talk. And I think most of us are. I think at this point for our generation, it's about how do we model for our kids, and then how do we give them the information so they don't feel like they have to choose a side about what food's good, what food's bad, what camp to be in terms of like all bodies are healthy or bodies need to be healthier. Like there is a middle ground, and we can help our kids find it.
No, there definitely is. Speaking about the modeling, this is a conversation that I have both with my husband and with my mom, because I tend to skip breakfast, and I do like intermittent fasting, right? And sometimes when I'm with my mom or when I'm with my husband, we'll like skip a meal, but I know that I have to eat a meal so that my son sees us eating meals. Because my mom, like, we went to Disney World for her birthday back in June, and she was like, oh, well, we could like, probably just like eat a light lunch and then like eat dinner. And I was like, but Mom, like, we really need to eat 3 meals a day because he needs to see us eating 3 meals a day. We can't skip foods. Yeah. And she's like, and it's that type of modeling that I think is really important. And I am not on a GLP-1 or anything like that. I just like choose to do intermittent fasting. But in this age of Ozempic and all of those things, my question to you would be like, how can parents model good behavior when they are not necessarily hungry or they're not eating 3 meals a day?
So this will be the first time that I say this on a podcast, but I trust you, Tara, and I know that we'll, not edit this to make it sound weird. No. I take a GLP-1, and I haven't said that a ton publicly because I know that there's so much judgment around it. Serena Williams just came out as like a spokesperson for Roe, and the comments on her post are insane, with people being like, oh, you're taking shortcuts and you're like, look at you, you're bought into diet culture. Here's the reason why I took it. Because when you have a mom that wraps herself in a towel tightly every time you walk into the bathroom, when you are steeped in diet culture growing up, when you have done all the diet stuff that we've all done, the Tybo, all the crap, your body gets messed up. And your metabolism gets messed up, and your mind is messed up. And the amount of food noise that I had, where I would be constantly thinking about, when's my next meal? Oh, I ate too much. Now I need to exercise that off. Ugh, I feel so tired. I don't want to exercise. I really want that piece of cake, but I'm going to have a cucumber. Like, it was insane in my head. And as I went through perimenopause, I gained a bunch of weight. And so my natural weight is probably like 160. And I was up to close to 200 pounds. We'd had a stressful time a couple years ago we had a nanny who was long-term who left us. Like, we had a bunch of stuff happen. Anywho, so I went to my doctor because my knees hurt. I wasn't sleeping well. I couldn't recognize myself in my body. My shoes didn't fit. I was having to buy new pants like every 3 months. And I know they say like, what should you do if you're like, your pants don't fit? Buy a bigger pair. I'm like, BS. Nobody wants to buy a new wardrobe every 3 months. Like, that's see, this is what I mean about like being extreme. Like, no, that's unfair to me. I didn't look like myself. Okay. So I started a GLP-1, and I did lose weight, but more importantly, the food noise went away almost immediately. And the peace that I found in being able to model healthy behaviors for my kids was such a relief. I could eat the Haribos with my kids. I could eat the hamburger because I knew that I would be able to like eat what I was hungry for, then stop eating it. I do have to make sure that I eat 3 meals a day because, like you said, sometimes I'm not hungry in the morning, but I want my kids to see me eating, and because it's good for me to eat 3 meals a day. right? Like I need to eat protein. I have to do strength training because otherwise my bones are going to I'm going to break a hip on this medication if I don't. Like there's some things that I need to do for myself and for my kids to make sure that I'm modeling. I think that far and away, I'm a more body confident, body positive person with my kids on this medication than I was before. And that's because I can think clearly for the first time about exercise and food. I really think, of course, diet culture, it's easy to see how that puts us in a prison, how it's all about rules and rigidity and you can't do this and you're about to lose control, so you better hold on to it. But I really think that the body positivity movement, even though it was not intended this way, it was intended to be about freedom and liberation and you can be great in whatever size you are and you're worthy no matter what. But it has the tendency also to put us into a box, to put us into a prison of if you use this tool, then you're not a good soldier in our army. If you want to lose a couple pounds, then you must be a diet culture person. No, I just want to wear my clothes that I spent $200 on.
Yeah.
I just want to recognize myself in the mirror. I just want to be able to eat a piece of pie without worrying the entire time before and after. And so my conversations with my kids around it, I don't tell them that it's a weight loss medication because for me, it's more than that.
Mm-hmm.
I know eventually they're going to see the ads about row and stuff. I wish that the ads were different than they are, but I know that that's the way that they sell the medication. So whatever. I talk to my kids about how I take a medication that helps with my blood sugar and that helps with my mind around food. Mm-hmm. And my kids are like, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great.
They're like, yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah. As I've taken it, we've had more conversations now that my kids are getting older and they've seen the ads to go oh, I see that that's a weight loss medication. Oh yeah, different people use this medication for different things.
Yeah, no, I have a friend who, yeah, no, absolutely. I completely understand. I have a friend who takes it and she said it knocked down her body's inflammation like you cannot even imagine. And she said it was such a added side effect or bonus that she wasn't anticipating that. And she's like, I could think clearly. My joints don't hurt. She had a lot of joint pain and she's like, my joints don't hurt. And she's like, it just took everything down, all of the inflammation in her body. It just took down. And she happens to be getting fitter and losing weight too. So it's, I've heard, wonderful things about that. Full disclosure, I tried to take it once. It made me so nauseous that I couldn't get past the nausea. And I was like, I'm just I just can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And it's not for everybody. And I think there are people who are actively having an eating disorder that it can make their appetite so low that then they will lose too much weight and then have a problem, this is something you should be doing with a therapist and with a medical provider. So I want to say that fully. But to me, the bigger picture is about now we've attached morality to this medication.
Yeah.
What are we doing? I should be able to choose the tools that give me peace in my body.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Full stop. Because that's the thing, no one's going to put morality judgment on high blood pressure medication or high cholesterol medication. So why would you do it on something that helps level your blood sugar? It doesn't make sense.
Exactly. So I have a hope that as more and more people take this medication, as we learn more and more about it, as there are more and more studies that come out about the food noise piece, that people will stop villainizing it. There's also a ton of really cool research around addiction.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yes. People who are addicted to drugs, addicted to alcohol, that it helps curb that. And I think that's all a very similar pathway, right? I probably have some food addiction stuff happening.
Yeah.
And
so it's quieting the noise of those addictions. That's really interesting.
Exactly.
I haven't read those yet.
Exactly. And you would never deny someone who had an alcohol addiction a medication that would help with that.
No.
So maybe we need to think about our relationship with food in a different way in a way that's more chemical as opposed to the way we think about it now, which is still highly tied to morality.
Yeah.
So, I hope this helps somebody when they hear it. It's scary to tell people, but that's the whole point, is that it shouldn't be scary. And so I'm going to keep on being loud about it, because I feel like otherwise people are going to keep on whispering about this. It's so weird.
Yeah, it's wild to me that people would attach morality to it. I saw the headline about Serena. I did not read the comments, but that actually is wild. I feel after we hang up the phone, I'm going to have to go check that out, because that just blows my mind. That's wild. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
like
I just wrote an opinion essay about this because it got me so fired up. Like, she's this athlete. Obviously, she didn't take a shortcut. She's
literally top tier. It's Serena freaking Williams. Like, come on.
Exactly. If there is, and also, why is it a shortcut? I mean, this is the same as like SSRIs for anxiety or depression. I feel like it's the same exact conversation we were having about that 10 years ago, of like, oh no, you should just go to therapy, which reminds me of my like evangelical Christian upbringing. You know what I mean? Like, oh, just pray about it and like cast all your cares on Jesus. Like, no, I'm going to take a medication and then I'll do some meditation along with that. But I can't even meditate until I take my medication for anxiety.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. You know, just yesterday I was having a conversation with a different friend who was on a GLP-1, and they were talking about the food noise. And they said that every day they would just, in their mind, would just go from one meal to the next meal to the next meal. It's like, when can I eat this? Okay, I got to order lunch. They order lunch, they eat. Be like, okay, what are we going to do for dinner? Okay, after dinner, what are we going to eat for a snack afterwards? And it was clouding their thought process so much that once they started it, like you said, it took the noise down, and then they were able to think and be more productive in their life in general.
Yes, exactly. And our kids and we deserve peace. I think that is the bottom line for this book, For My One of Kind Body, is helping kids to find peace in their body. That is, at this point, like my mission for other moms, because I'm so fired up about the GLP-1 thing. Yeah. And you know, and I know that when we're at peace, when we're not in fight or flight, when we're not worried about everything, we always make better decisions. We're always better parents. We always show up better. We're more present. We're able to be the full expression of who we want to be. And so if a medication can do that for me, if a book that can make it so a kid never has to go on a medication can do that for our kids, amazing. That's what I want.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Whitney, tell everyone, where could we find this book and where could we learn more about you online?
Yes. So right now it's available for pre-order. It's coming out in October. So if you go to raisingbodyconfidentkids.com, then you'll get to all the pre-order information. I created a whole mini course, like a video mini course for parents to go along with it. So that way you have even more pointed instruction for what you can do as you're helping to support your kids as they read this book. So raisingbodyconfidentkids.com. And then you can buy the book wherever books are sold, Amazon, Target, everywhere.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And where can we follow you?
Yes. So follow me at Modern Mommy Doc. That's where I put all my crazy, funny videos. Yesterday, I just hopped on the Hamilton trend, but did it about perimenopausal hair growth on your chin. So
love that.
Yeah, check me out on there.
Love that.
I have so much fun. I'm like you. I have so much fun on Instagram.
It's just fun.
Tara.
It's fun.
It's just a good time.
It's just a good time. No, it is. I love your videos and I adore you. And I'm so glad that we had the opportunity to chat again today. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of Modern Mom Probs. I hope you enjoyed our deep dive in today's problem with me, your host, Tara Clark. Join me next time when I'll be interviewing another great guest and tackling another modern mom problem. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review and a rating. As always, you could head over to Modern Mom Probs on Instagram and give me a follow, or check out my book, Modern Mom Probs, A Survival Guide for 21st Century Mothers, available online wherever books are sold. Well, that's it for today. See you next time, folks.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.